Good afternoon. Welcome to another edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. Right now, I'm doing another pre-recorded video, and it is another newscast from my hometown of Lafayette, Indiana. And I'm going to title this video, Guns Are Not Play Toys. Guns are not play toys. Again, this is from my hometown of Lafayette, Indiana. 1-year-old shot, killed by 5-year-old who found gun. From Lafayette, Indiana, Lafayette police investigated the shooting death of a 1-year-old child in the 500 block of Westchester Lane and Romney Meadows Apartments. Now, I can tell you something about Romney Meadows Apartments. There have been a number of shootings there, and that is going to be considered the hood of Lafayette, Indiana. Now, what's happening with this city is you have a number of individuals, minstrels, coming from the city of Chicago and Gary, Indiana, and Indianapolis. They can't get their business done in the larger cities, so now they're going to come and infect the smaller cities with their welfare mindset and crime. Back to the story. To the Canoe County coroner, Carrie Costello said Isaiah Jackson, 16 months old, died. Wednesday's autopsy determined the boy died from one gunshot wound. The manner of death, however, is pending completion of the police investigation and toxicology reports, Costello said. Again, Wednesday's autopsy determined the boy died from a gunshot wound. So the matter of death, however, is basically pending completion of the police investigation and toxicology reports, and that's what Costello said. Now, the boy's 5-year-old sibling got hold of a handgun inside the apartment and is responsible for shooting Johnson, according to a Lafayette police news release. Let me repeat that again, because I'm going to ask this question. The boy's 5-year-old sibling got a hold of a gun inside the apartment, and that 5-year-old is responsible for shooting Johnson. Now, that's according to a Lafayette police news release that was published late Tuesday. However, no arrests have been made as of Wednesday morning, police said. The case remains under investigation, police said. So when finished, the case will be sent to the prosecutor's office for review to determine if charges must be filed or charges might be filed. Now, police received a 911 call about the shooting about 3 p.m. Tuesday, police said. This one adult and two children inside, there was one adult and two children inside the apartment. Lieutenant Police Officer Matt Grid said, and when asking how many, this is what he asked when the question came out, how many people were in the apartment. Now remember, it was one adult and two children. Now who was the adult? The adult was the mother. Who should get arrested? My opinion, based off all of the evidence that has been compounded, with the firearm, the mother. She should be arrested for child neglect. She should be sent to jail, and the child should be taken away from her. Now, the question is, how are these kids getting guns? And also, was that gun legally registered here in the state of Indiana? And there have been a number of children picking up guns, and they are utilizing these firearms as play toys. Guns are not play toys. Now, again, it was a 911 call, and it reported a child not breathing, and it came from outside the apartment, guard said. Now, again, got to ask this question. You have one adult and two children in an apartment. Now, I'm not going to put race on it, but Isaiah, I'm going to assume that was somebody black. But regardless, you had an adult there. How come the adult didn't lock up the gun? We talk about personal responsibility. Now, it's common sense. This has nothing to do with racism right here. This has something to do with safety and security, particularly of you and your own kids. Kids are grabbing guns these days without any knowledge of how to use a firearm and are going out and shooting innocent people, even if it's not the intent. There was a shooting where I think it was last week as well. Same thing happened. It was a 10-year-old picked up the gun and shot an 11-year-old. And this is something that's an accident, but you can't bring that person back. And the bottom line is, when you have kids in the house, kids are curious. This is why they have child or tamper-proof tops on medicines so children can't get into those medicines. They have them on chemicals. Well, here's what I believe. If you are an adult, male or female, and your child grabs that gun, you should lose your shooting privileges forever. Why? Because you were irresponsible. You neglected to provide a safe haven in your household with a firearm there. Bottom line, who should be arrested? The mother should be arrested. Now, again, you know how the system is when it comes to children and women. Women can do no wrong when it comes to their children. However, there's also been an incident where a child accidentally shot his mom because the child found a gun. Now, the funny thing about it is, and this is just evidence, a number of these mothers can't control their household. Now, it doesn't mean that they're bad mothers. A number of them are too busy. They're forgetting things. And I'm just going to tell you this. If you have a firearm in the house, you need to lock it up. Put it in a place where only you can find it in case something happens. Again, guns are not play toys. Children are very curious. I know when I was a kid, I was curious. And what happened to me with an iron? I burned my arm with an iron because I was curious. Why? Because the iron wasn't put in the proper place where I couldn't reach it. Now, again, it's unfortunate that a 1-year-old child was killed by a 5-year-old who shouldn't have been utilizing a firearm. Where was the 5-year-old aiming? Now, again, this is tragic. And you don't hear a lot of this in the news. And this is why on my channel, I'm going to keep presenting news stories, because this is happening, and it doesn't have to be in the cities of Chicago, Indianapolis, Columbus, Ohio, Detroit, Milwaukee, Baltimore. No, it's in my town, my city of Lafayette, Indiana. And there's been a number of criminal activity that's taken place over in the Romney apartment complex. You see, when you get the wrong people in a complex, see, we always talk about the hood. It's not the hood, it's the people who live there. And when you have individuals who don't care about the laws and rules, who don't care about cleaning up their neighborhood, they don't care about anything but getting a check, then you have destruction. And in that household, the woman had no structure. Children should always be taught right from wrong. Now, again, unfortunately, a child, a 1-year-old child, loses his life because a 5-year-old grabbed a firearm. 5-year-old didn't know it was loaded. And if you're going to have a firearm in the house too, you put it on safety. You see, there are a number of individuals who have firearms and they don't know how to handle a firearm. Yes, it's good for protection, but you have to know how to safely use that firearm. And that means storing it safely, putting it in a place where only you can find it. Now, there are going to be more stories like this. And for some reason, there have been a number of individuals going gun crazy, just like that shooting from a trans man. And where's the rainbow community with that situation that took place in Nashville, Tennessee? You see, if you're going to kill somebody, kill yourself. But this person went in there, shot 3 adults and 3 children. And again, ignorance is bliss. Now, why did this person take a firearm, an AK-47, and go into a Nashville school and start shooting? Was it the fact that her mind was messed up or his mind was messed up? You see, one of the problems here psychologically, you have a number of individuals who appear to be normal, but in the mind, they're gone. This is why you have the problems today. That's why you have the problems with dating, problems spending money. And when I say spending money, you're spending money on the wrong items, tangible items that aren't very good in the long run. It's because you buy something that costs a pretty penny. Doesn't mean it's necessarily good. But going back to firearms, what happens is you're going to have the people on the left who love their gun control. And when they get a hold of a story like this, they're going to say, see, another innocent child got shot. But they're not going to tell you how the 5-year-old got the gun. They're going to leave that out because they have the narrative that they don't want to deal with the laws on the books. They want more and more laws. Bottom line is, this woman in the house was an adult and 2 children. And maybe I shouldn't say woman, but I'm going to assume, and I hate to assume because you know what happens when you assume, but let's just be honest. A man in the house, that's not going to happen. It's a woman in the house. And again, I know what type of apartment complex that is, low income. Now, I'm not saying that everybody who's on Section 8 or lives in a low income area is bad, but you do have to understand that the mindset of some of those individuals is not up to par. I'm just going to say it is substandard. And when you are looking for that EBT check every month and you're not securing a gun in a proper place, you as that adult, you're responsible for what happened to your own child. Now, I have to ask the question, where's Black Lives Matter on this issue? Oh, it's because a black child killed another black child, so has no merit. Well, aren't all Black lives mattering today? See, what's going to happen, that adult that I presume is a woman It's probably going to come up with an excuse. Oh, well, I thought I had it on safety. First of all, you can't go around just thinking. You either know the gun is on safety or you don't know it's on safety. And you have to know where you put it. You have to trace your steps. Now, of course, everybody is not going to think like me. I understand that. I'm not a genius. I just use common sense. However, within the last couple of weeks, this has happened. And it's happened in the past few years where I'm hearing more and more children are getting guns and they're just shooting them because they're curious. And what's happening? They're killing their brother or their sister, even their mother. Now, I have to look at the household. How is that household being run? You have an adult and you have two children in the house. Where was that adult, particularly the mother, when this occurred? That has to be asked. Nobody wants to ask that question. But it is an adult's responsibility for the welfare of his or her children. Now, again, the Lafayette Police Department is doing an investigation. Now, I have to ask, where's the outrage when children are getting killed? Just like going back to Nashville, because this person was trans. It's from the community that is always talking about equality. You're not going to hear too much from the media on this because the media is with the trans community. Well, the bottom line, if you are in the trans community or the alphabet community, individuals in your community need to speak up. Nobody has spoken up for the Jeffrey Dahmers and this person who went in there and shot 6 people, 3 adults and 3 innocent children. My problem is you have a lot of bullcrap going on with people who can't defend themselves. You have the elderly getting abused, and you have children getting abused. But you have individuals in this country like the mainstream media who really doesn't care because they're really part of it with how they display themselves. So they don't care about rules unless the rules benefit them. Now, in the long run, with firearms, if this news article and other news articles get out to the mainstream, you're going to hear the gun control debate. Again, the problem is the gun laws that are on the books, they're not being enforced. Now you're even having some talks that individuals should be 21 to get a gun. Now, how old was this individual adult? We don't know. There's no age. But I do know that the child that was shot was 1-year-old, and there was a 5-year-old who shot the 1-year-old. So both children, one's not even in school yet, barely walking, and the other one just became a kindergarten student. Now, what kind of effect is this going to have on a 5-year-old psychologically? Is that 5-year-old going to have post-traumatic stress disorder? I do a number of psychological videos. Is that child going to remember what he did to his little brother? Is the mother, when that 5-year-old gets a little older, going to even tell the 5-year-old that you had a younger brother? Or is she going to simply say, well, you did have a younger brother and he passed away of something? She's going to make up a lie. That could happen. What is the mental state of, I'm going to say, the mother in the house? Those questions are never answered. So right now, all I have is a 5-year-old shot a 1-year-old. What type of firearm was in the house? That's another question to ask. And when I do news stories, I simply ask the probing questions that too many people don't ask. Because I was investigating, I need to know what time did this incident occur? I already know where it occurred. I already know when it occurred. Where was the firearm stored? Why wasn't the firearm on safety? Better yet, let me go one step further. Why was there ammunition in the chamber? And I have an idea of what type of neighborhood this person lives in. Understand you need protection, but you're also responsible for that protection in your house. You're not just responsible for understanding how the protection works, you're responsible for maintaining that protection and keeping that protection safe. Because right now, this mother had 2 children. Now she has 1 child. Again, you have to ask, what's the mindset of the people now in the house? Should the mother get arrested? My opinion, absolutely, because she's responsible for her children. Now, don't get me wrong, it was an accident. Accidents happen. Just like, I work in the construction industry. Just like in Baltimore on I-695, the Beltway. And yes, I'm going to go off topic a little bit to let you know how neglect can take somebody's life. What is 54-year-old woman tried to change lanes? Well, she collided into somebody changing lanes, lost control, and killed 6 construction personnel. I ask those questions because as an inspector, a civil engineer, I work out on the roads as well. And that car that killed 6 people is just like a firearm. Now, I'm not saying that these 2 individuals, I know one of them was a woman, 54 years old, and it also appears that the adult in the house with the 2 children is also a woman. Not going to say all women are neglectful. There are a number of men who are neglectful. But what I will say is keep an eye on your surroundings. And that even goes for your own house. Don't trust everybody when you're out there driving. And don't trust everybody, even if it's your own family in your house. Because guess what? When you're out there driving in your car, you're responsible for what happens to other people, unless something comes at you. So it's your job to prevent a travesty. Now, I know an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. We all say that. No prevention is not going to stop everything, but it gives you a chance. And had this adult in the house utilize common sense by keeping the firearm away from the curiosity of a child. And what I mean by that is the child was able to find that firearm and use that firearm. Now, the mom is lucky that that child didn't use the firearm on her. Because there was an incident, I believe, where a 6-year-old shot his mother as well for the same reason, the firearm. Now, I have found that Number of these houses, the last three that I know, cases that have been reported, these houses were run by women. Now, this is what makes a number of women look bad when they're running a household. You know, you have the children. It's the same thing if you're on a job and something happens, but you're the manager, it's all going to come down on you. Can't blame anybody because you're the one who has to set the parameters. And when proper parameters aren't set, issues occur. It's all going to come down on you. So in the end, what I believe is this. The mother should be arrested for child neglect, and a 5-year-old should be taken away from her. Why? Because the mother has shown, because I'm going to presume that that was a mother in the house, and she has shown to me that she is irresponsible and incapable of raising children. And if you don't believe me, you go back and look at this video and look at this newscast that I gave you. You pick it apart yourself. You may find more answers. But in the end, when you're the captain of the ship, you must go down with the ship, even if you weren't part of the incident. Why? Because you're responsible for what goes on in your household. And that's my commentary for this edition of the 411 Talk Zone right here on YouTube. If you like what I just presented, please comment, share, and subscribe. And if you are looking for some STEM content, check out my second channel, the QCIS channel. On that channel, you get a daily dose of science, technology, engineering, and math. And if you cannot find the QCIS channel or the 411 Talk Zone radio show channel on YouTube, you can find both of those channels on my Twitter page. Now for the QCIS channel, since it's an educational channel, I'll be putting some information up on that channel tomorrow or Friday. Stay tuned because that channel is also, video of that channel is also going to be posted on my LinkedIn page. And in the end, I'm just going to tell you this. Be blessed for what you have. Don't worry about what you don't have. Always know that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. And if it doesn't apply, let it fly. But if the shoe fits, wear it. If you don't like this shoe, change it. And once again, thank you for listening to this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. Till next time, my name is Leon Jones. But you all have a wonderful and gracious day. God bless you. I'm out.